Grinding Your Game seriously saved the craziest teaser for the final day of teaser season. They just announced that the Viridian Wildwood will be returning to Path of Exile with the 3.25 Settlers of Kalguur expansion, appearing rarely in Tier 16 and Tier 17 maps. Not only that, they used the language, the Wildwood Ascendancies may have other plans in Path of Exile 1. Maybe they're not from the Viridian Wildwood, but they're going to be in the update in some way, shape, or form. I'm going to tell you why this is absolutely insane and what I think might actually be happening here with the expansion. We've talked a lot about this being the final expansion before Path of Exile 2 comes out, right? We hope that it's going to be filled with endgame content. Well, you know, the last time before there was a big version change expansion, that was Legacy League. All the way back, I think it was 2.6. It's right over, yes, right here in 2017. This league reintroduced a lot of historic content back into the game, and it was a longer league than usual because Grinding Your Games were leading themselves into the 3.0 era, and that was a game-changing time for Path of Exile 1. Now we are going into the not 4.0 era, but the Path of Exile 2 era. However, I think Grinding Your Games and the Path of Exile devs are really searching to get that POE 1 endgame and POE 1 experience to be as pristine as possible and open up lots of opportunities for this particular expansion cycle. So, because they are adding the Wildwood, because they are potentially adding these ascendancies in some way, shape, or form, I know a lot of you might think I'm totally insane, that I'm unhinged, but what if they are pulling a Legacy League here? But they're integrating a lot of core historic content from the past back into Path of Exile 1. We can look at Affliction, right? That's the one that's actually coming into the game. We can look at Ancestor League. Everybody thinks that totems have to do with Trial of the Ancestors coming back into the game. Well, they said this Affliction Viridian Wildwood encounter is only one of said endgame encounters that you might occur in Path of Exile's endgame. What else could be added? Crucible, the Forge of the Titans, Crucible Forges, weapon passive skill trees. They could be brought back into the game with this update if they're trying to go all out. And not only that, everyone, we can go all the way back to Kalandra League. Lots of people did not like Lake of Kalandra, mostly due to the arch nemesis monsters and the whole loot goblin, loot pinata fiasco. Well, the lake building was actually liked by many people. And people loved the mirrored jewelry, which hasn't made an appearance in the game, except for that very cool Kalandra's Touch ring. Well, maybe they've added tablets back into the game along with the Lake of Kalandra itself, and it's something that you encounter rarely in T16 and T17 maps. Additionally, we can go back to Sentinel League. Lots of people, including Captain Lance, have said, oh my gosh, I'm going to cope, I'm going to hope recombinators are back in the game. Maybe that's another potential endgame encounter that we can have. More Sentinels, and they empower monsters, and they drop recombinators. We can keep going here because in this 3.0 era, basically since Ritual or Expedition, lots of this content hasn't made it into the core game. Sanctum is a big exception, right? Expedition is another exception. Ultimatum didn't come back in for quite a while. Scourge League, basically gone. Arch Nemesis, well, that's an exception on top of an exception. They had to keep redoing Arch Nemesis over and over. Sentinel didn't make it. Kalandra didn't make it. Sanctum did make it. Crucible? No. Ancestor? No. Affliction? No. Until now. Necropolis? Heck no, that's not coming into the game, but it doesn't have content like these other leagues did. I think they're reintegrating a lot of past content, and they're going to be putting it into the end game of Path of Exile 1. And not only that, I think this is going to come with a big T17 rework, everyone. Because right now, T17s are dissimilar to everything else in Path of Exile 1. They have mods that brick builds. Yes, they're very challenging. Yes, they're very rewarding. But perhaps with this little glimpse that Grinding Your Games has given us here today, showcasing that the Viridian Wildwood will appear in T16 and T17 maps only, spawning on occasion, maybe they're doing something that I've pitched before, kinda. I'm not claiming that this is my idea, but maybe they're adding new forms of content into the game that's only available in T16 and T17 maps. That's awesome. That's how you do it. You don't add in stupid, insane mods that are so build breaking that frustrate people. Stuff like lowering your action speed by X percentage every time you use a skill. Who wants to play around that? I know I don't. You know what I do want to play around? Monsters being stronger from wisps, encountering the Viridian Wildwood. Maybe there being a crucible forge in the map with incredibly powerful forged monsters. Maybe there's the Lake of Kalandra in the T17 map. Maybe the Lake of Kalandra will be a T17 map tile set with the boss fight that Lake of Kalandra did not have. Now I am going all out on the extreme hopium here because of how insane this last teaser was. It was quite the teaser to end teaser season on, and I bet the Path of Exile subreddit, obviously the POE Twitter, the forums, everyone's Discords, YouTube is going to go crazy in the next 22 hours leading up to the reveal of Path of Exile 3.25 Settlers of Kalguur. I know after watching that, my mind is buzzing, especially with the idea that the Wildwood ascendancies actually might come back into the game in some way, shape, or form. They've been going with borrowed power for an incredibly long time. I would argue all the way going back to Sentinel League. We would get power in some way, shape, or form, and it would just be taken from us in the next league. Recombinators in Sentinel, the mirrored jewelry in Kalandra, the relics, the sanctified relics in Sanctum, the Crucible weapon passive skill trees in Crucible, the tattoos at their great availability in Ancestor League, and then in Affliction League, obviously it was the Wildwood Ascendancies, it's that which was taken, it's the charms, the tinctures, all that in Acropolis. Well, the borrowed power we got was being able to print items if you could endure the tedium. Oh my goodness, if they're bringing all that borrowed power back into the game, I know some people in my community will be very upset. I'm very excited as someone who likes to play overpowered characters and isn't a master of buildcraft. I understand basic builds, but my goodness, it takes me a lot of time to get into the nitty gritty of the calculations, but I can understand things like, ooh, charms are powerful. Ooh, this Crucible weapon passive skill tree is quite powerful. This is a sure upgrade for my character. And you know, if grinding your games is going to make POE 1 a very different game from POE 2, and allow people to really just amp it up to 20,000 as opposed to 100, this is the approach they want to take. We've seen a lot of it with Affliction, with Necropolis, with the crazy loot pinatas. Maybe they're just going to push it so far in that direction that eventually POE 1 truly will be unrecognizable when compared to POE 2. And then they'll have two distinct games on their hands, two distinct communities that might have a bit of overlap. It's a lot to think about, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the video. You can see that I am high on the hopium right now. I'm going to go on a run and try to chill out. Make sure if you like the video to hit the like button, the subscribe button too for more Path of Exile 1 and Path of Exile 2 content. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm on the road to 25,000 subscribers. Every day I'm inching closer and closer to that goal. I'm going to be co-streaming the reveal tomorrow on this YouTube channel and on Twitch. I'd love to see you in the chat. It's going to be a good one. Have a wonderful night. Try to get some sleep for that reveal. That's all for this video. I'll see you in the next one. Talkative Exiles.